The SS, social services, very, very secretive. And we discovered this little thing going on here with a program produced by Siemens, which is going to look at risk with IT systems and data. They do it for NATO, they do it for the British government. I'm told by a source that includes MI5, that's interesting. But they're also now going to do it for your children. And in case you don't know, if you travel on the trains a lot, when you go to a station and you are now CCTV'd from the moment you go in, and on some cases, in some companies, you're actually CCTV'd while you're sitting on the train, a lot of that is run by Siemens. So we now have a German company, I'm sure it's a wonderful, kind, benevolent company, now beginning to monitor not only the British public on a day-to-day basis, but they're now working with social services and they're getting close to our children. Even Germans themselves will tell you they are getting very nervous about seeing things which they'd seen in the past start to re-emerge. Well, let's have a look at people. So who's pulling the strings? I've only got an hour, so I can't go through them all, but I'm going to give you an idea. And this lady, Harriet Harman's very interesting. Do you all know Harriet? Yes? She was fined, I think, a while ago for speeding. Well, she said that last year, something like 200 people went to prison through secret courts. That's a very interesting statement, isn't it? Something like. That little bit tells you she's not really interested in how many. But I'm pretty interested in how many people are sent to prison after going through a secret court, because if it's one, the next person could be me, or it could be you. This is very dangerous stuff, because the public has no track as to what's happening with people. And if you look at dictatorships, this is the route for putting people in gulags. We're not used to this sort of stuff in Britain because we've had a democracy which has worked pretty well for so long. But if you talk to people in Russia or Poland or Germany, they know it can happen. And what I'm going to say to you this morning, and I don't get any pleasure because I'd rather tell you a joke or something, is it's happening here. But it's creeping. It's piece by piece by piece. So, if we look at this lady a bit more, and this was a photograph which I liked because it's of her when she was younger. When she was younger, she was involved in the Council for Civil Liberties, top right-hand corner of the box. And she was the legal officer. Now that organisation is now Liberty and run by a lady called Chakrabarti. Do you all know it? It's all about liberties. However, at one stage the government was proposing that the age of consent should be reduced, and the National Council for Civil Liberties got involved, and Harriet Harman was the person who signed some of their responses. And she suggested that the new law could lead to damaging and absurd prosecutions. It could increase censorship. She suggested that a pornographic photo or film of a child should not be considered indecent unless it could be shown that the subject had suffered. Did you get a warm feeling at this lady? Now, the other thing is, at the time, that the National Council for Civil Liberties was associated with two pro-paedophile organisations, Pi and Pal. So we've got an organisation associated with pro-paedophile people, and its spokesperson at the time was Harriet Harman. And this is the lady who says, well, maybe 200 people have gone through a secret court into prison. Why? Because they were trying to expose paedophilia. Something is wrong. If you look at liberty a bit more, down in the bottom right-hand box, I've obviously run out of battery power here. In the bottom right-hand box are some of the people who have been connected with this organisation, Liberty, and they're big names. Clement Attlee, Aneurin Bevan, these are the people we're supposed to be looking up to. So if they were involved in this organisation, maybe they were duped as to what it was probably doing. Bertrand Russell, some of you might know a little bit about him, because when we go down this sort of route, we start getting close to people interested in theosophical type stuff, the occult. Some of them were interested in Satanism. And Aldous Huxley, you might know the name of. If you don't, I suggest you do a bit of research, because his wife pops up, and she's got involved with a charity, Children, Our Ultimate Investment. And it operates a teens and toddlers initiative. And there's a project, Caressing, which is encouraging young children to mix and touch adults. It's all there when you know where to look for this information. And the more you dig, the more you get an uneasy sense that something is being constructed which is very sinister indeed. I think Mr. Clegg underestimated a few things. Just remember that children bit. Now here we've got Ed Balls. What a lovely man. And Mr. Balls takes himself off to Bilderberger meetings. Now, if you don't know about Bilderbergers, you should do, because the Bilderbergers were founded by the pro-Nazi movement immediately after the war. And they meet in secret. You can find this on the internet, and there's one or two really good sites. They meet in secret, and they discuss plans for world government. They just don't bother to talk to us about it, because we're the goyim, we're the cattle. But Mr. Balls goes off with a meeting. He then says, well, he attended in his private capacity, and he then charges it to the public purse. So he's either confused or he lies. Don't know which. Now, this is a press release from the Bilderbergers themselves. I just wanted to put it up to make sure that you knew that I was telling you the truth, because they say in that document that people attend in their private, not official capacity. So even the Sunday Telegraph could get pretty upset when they realised that he'd been claiming expenses on the public purse. And they got interested in the Bilderbergers talking about them being, themselves being, a shadow world government. How many of you know that at the moment there's a committee running inside Westminster which is full of pro-world government MPs? Do you know about that? It's there. You can find it if you go looking for it. I'll help with some of the information which will go up on the website in due course. But the information's there if you ask. So while you're going about your day-to-day business, worrying about how to pay the mortgage and where the money's coming from, we've got MPs who think that they are so clever they're going to rearrange the whole world. Well, some of them are clever, but unfortunately some of them are very dangerous people, because they actually believe in themselves. So if we do a summary, come on machine, here's the Bilderbergers. First chairman was Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands. Annual meetings, and we know at these meetings people are selected for particular positions. And there's no minutes, and they have very tight security. And we have people associated with education and children getting involved. So when in a minute I start talking about the fact they're teaching eugenics in schools, we've got something very interesting, because the Nazis got involved with that. So are they doing it again? I'll let you decide. What about academy schools? Do you know about those? They've been there in the paper. We're now bringing big business in to run schools, because that's the way to do it, because the public purse is broke. Well, we can print money to go to the banks, but we can't print money to run schools or run hospitals. Very strange, isn't it? It's fraud on a massive scale. But academy schools are being set up. There's about 6 in the country. And these are some of the characteristics. We know they're going to take children in at an early age. They're going to keep them to 18. The design of the buildings are interesting. Previously, our schools had big, bright, light rooms because that was uplifting and that was good for health and your mental health. These go the other way, a lot of enclosed spaces. Now, if you want to play around with people's minds, you do it in a room with no windows. But you can trust me because I've got a suit on. Therapy sessions. They are going to have they do have therapy rooms. And when you say who's going to get therapy, all the children are going to get therapy. Are you allowed in as a parent? Well, only if the therapist gives you permission. Otherwise, they have client confidentiality to the child. I was told, I'll call it a story, but I believe it is true, that a mother went to a school fairly close to me to pick up her young teenage daughter, to be told, I'm sorry, she won't be going home because we are going to section her. And the mother stood there, just stunned, to be told that her daughter had been seeing the school psychiatrist for nearly a year. But she, as the mother, had not been told. I don't know the outcome of that story yet, but I don't think it's going to be good. Who's running the schools? Industrial, military, private companies. Big ones. Vosper Thornycroft, British Aerospace is going to get involved. American companies. Why are these suddenly clustered around? Who's driving them? They're going to use a lot of Wi-Fi stuff, so the environment in that school is going to be heavily microwaved. In fact, children are going to be encouraged to carry around laptops so that they can have lessons on the move. This is all happening under your noses. And Brown and Cameron and Clegg know it's going on. I've put a lady at the bottom, Kaz, an Aussie lady. If you go and look for Kaz, Academy Schools, an Absolute Return for Kids, ARC, on YouTube. She's done some fantastic little video clips which will give you more information than I can possibly give you now. So we did, on the right-hand side, an article about the Academy Schools in the UK column, and we will put these up on the UK column website for you so you can read what we originally wrote. And what I'm doing is bringing all this information back out into the open so that you can see the picture I'm seeing. But these are the characteristics of the school. The curriculum can be changed after a year. We know that for a fact because we've cited one of the contracts. So initially the government sets the curriculum, but after a year the curriculum for that school is being set by a company that specialises in industrial military matters. Nice. Execution Limited is funding Absolute Return for Kids. Like the name? Dream Mill. Do you like that name? Because that's looking into behavioural change in children. And they know there's going to be behavioural change because they are going to do the things to the kids to create that change. Have you ever wondered about the 29 suicides in South Wales? Do you know about those? In a very small geographic area. What the good old BBC and the media isn't telling you is these suicide clusters are appearing in other places, particularly Northern Ireland. And the thing is that in committing suicide, the youngsters are doing things which are not normal. So, for instance, girls don't normally hang themselves. They prefer drugs or slashing their wrists. But now you're seeing people committing suicides in ways which are not the normal ways. And what it is heading towards is that these youngsters and young people are very disturbed and something's disturbing them. And it's not microwave towers. It's something that's being done to them in school, in colleges and elsewhere.